This has Pistons fans seriously concerned after Ausar Thompson got benched in their last game and Marcus Sasser not getting the minutes he deserves. This has left fans questioning JB Bickerstaff's deployment of multiple young pieces within this organization, and we're going to break down exactly what happened with Ausar Thompson, why Marcus Sasser deserves more minutes, and exactly why fans are starting to get worried heading into what should be a deep playoff run with a young team, and how Bickerstaff is continuously deploying these players. Now, diving into this game, I'm not going to go into the logistics and what happens, but the big thing with Ausar Thompson, and we can see from the multiple tweets, Ausar Thompson needs more playing time. This was a player that was benched in the second half of the game versus, of course, the San Antonio Spurs, where we did see JB Bickerstaff favor Ron Holland in the game, which I don't have a problem with. But when you see tweets like, when you can play Ausar Thompson less than 20 minutes, you have to do it. Arguably the second most important player, and JB got him collecting dust on the bench. You can continue working through. Put Ausar Thompson back in the game, and of course, we've seen the quotes coming from exactly what happened with Ausar Thompson and why JB Bickerstaff didn't play the young defensive player of the year looking caliber player during the second half of this game. Now, the big thing with Ausar Thompson, I know this is a player that of course has a limitation sometime on the offensive end of the ball, but when looking at the defensive end, yes, you get taken off for misassignments, but this is a player that you cannot have just sitting on the bench for the entirety of the second half, especially in a game that you want to go win and prove. Ausar Thompson benched for the second half versus the Spurs. About 4 minutes after halftime, Ausar Thompson was subbed out of the game after missing a defensive assignment and did not return. Just two games prior, Bickerstaff mentioned after beating the Knicks that Ausar Thompson's defensive ability allows for him to work outside of the team system and that he's earned that right. Now with Ausar Thompson, yes, okay, a lot of young guys within the league, if you miss an assignment, and this was against Vassell during the game, I could see you being taken out for a quick stint. Go in, speak to the coaching staff, look at what happened, but it's unacceptable looking at a player that of course was not in. Now listen, JB Bickerstaff spoke and said, I thought Ron was playing well. Give Ron extra minutes. Now the big thing is, and Ron Holland, I love him as a player. A young player coming within this organization, of course, yes, the limitation on the offensive end as well, but Ron Holland, a great rebounder, someone that's elite when it comes to steals, ranked 38 across the entire NBA, the blocks in the 70th percentile, and looking at the rebound, the defensive rebound 73rd percentile, defensive rating 95th percentile. Looking at a top 25 player on the defensive end when looking at defensive rating, this makes sense. I understand Ron Holland came in and played outstanding, but the fact that JB Bickerstaff is, of course, letting a lot of his guys sit, this is the situation that, yes, you are 6-2 versus the top 5 other teams across the NBA. Are you worried about the Spurs? Sure, they beat you in this game. You don't have to match up with them unless it's the finals in the playoffs, so you're not too stressed about this. You rang off the wins with the New York Knicks, the Celtics, and OKC. But looking at Bickerstaff speaking on Ausar Thompson, he's been so good at it, and he suspended our system. We allow him to do things that we don't allow other guys to do because of his ability to impact and what makes shifts behind him, because we know what he's going to do on the perimeter, and that's become a unique ability. It's nothing that we've done. It's what he's earned the freedom to do because of his talents. Now, coming out to say this quote, listen, I am not an NBA coach. I do have coaching experience, of course, but nowhere near the level of this. But the big thing is, if you're looking at a young player that's one of the league's best, if not perimeter defenders and overall defenders across the NBA, and you give them this freedom, yes, getting a defensive breakdown, you're going to want to look at them and work through things. But with Ausar Thompson, looking at the numbers and how good he has been within this team system, with the minutes, with the rebounds, the assists, the field goal percentage, steals 99th percentile, ranks 7th in the entire NBA. Yes, once again, the offensive numbers can take dips. Yes, the shooting sometimes hurts this team, but the fact that this player alone was taken out because of a misassignment doesn't make sense, especially when you're looking at a team that, with the Ausar Thompson on the floor, is someone that is even better, and the whole team plays better. On the floor, you can see the offensive rating at 110, the defensive rating at 115. You take him off the floor, and of course, it drops to 75 and 107 respectively. Yes, like I said, a one-game sample size, but the Pistons' offensive rating was 35 points better with Ausar on the court. If the Pistons don't make the conference finals, this one's a bit extreme. You know what to do, and this is talking about, of course, firing JB Bickerstaff, which I don't like the idea of, and especially when you're looking at a team. Yes, at the very moment, there's a lot of guys, 4 guys in particular, that is playing more minutes than Ausar Thompson on this team. A lot of these guys have the role. Cade Cunningham, an MVP caliber player. Tobias Harris and Duncan Robinson adding the outside shooting. Jalen Duren had a suspension, but honestly, running the offense through him versus the Spurs might be a good game plan. But then looking at the numbers, and you can see Marcus Sasser at the bottom, I'm going to touch on that as well. It doesn't make sense to continuously pull a player from the defensive game, only limit them to 20 or less minutes, or just sitting them in the entire second half. Now, once again, looking at the shooting from Ausar Thompson, you want the numbers up. We're seeing the clips of him, of course, taking the shots on the court and trying to work on his game. We see a lot of guys do this constantly, but listen, if Andre Drummond can add a 3-point shot, Ausar Thompson can continue building off what he's doing. Still a young player that's going to develop in this league. And once again, I don't want to harp on a guy like Ron Holland. I love the opportunity for Ron Holland to jump within this team, but it goes even farther when you're looking at a deeper part of the bench. I'm going to say Marcus Sasser would just be as productive as Peyton Pritchard if given the minutes and opportunity. Now, Peyton Pritchard, a 6th Man of the Year candidate, stepped up big for the Boston Celtics. We don't care. We hope the Celtics lose every game for the rest of the year. But looking at Marcus Sasser and his minute production over the past couple of seasons, it continuously drops as soon as the screenshot wants to come up here. This is a player that, of course, is limited minutes. Dennis Jenkins joining this lineup, of course, took a lot of minutes from him as well, but dropping from 14 down to 9.5 minutes. Of course, the production has stayed about the same. Sasser is someone that should be getting more time, especially on a team that's looking to add 3-point shooting. Sasser shooting 42.2, a low volume, 2.5 a game, but this is another player that needs to be added to the team. I don't want to harp on Caris LeVert and what he's done, or hasn't done, I should say, with this team, but looking at Marcus Sasser, this number here, we see the green. Green is money from outside 3. This is exactly what the Pistons need. I'm not going to sit here and say, listen, we want Bickerstaff fired. He's brought an awesome culture to this team. He has built this team with a lot of star talent and let Cade run the floor. But when Cade Cunningham gets a little tired, you need more guard depth off the bench. Sasser, Jenkins. Jenkins is a big guy that can guard the perimeter. Why not try both of these guys on the floor at once? Caris LeVert has done his job most games, but at the end of the day, we're looking at a team that continues to build. We're top of not only the Eastern Conference, the NBA. We can see the minutes going across that last game with Ron Holland playing 26, Dennis Jenkins playing 21. But if you work your way farther and farther down the lineup, of course, there's going to be a lot of players that play a lot of minutes. Kevin Huerter played 0, which still doesn't make sense to me. But the big thing with this team is once you start getting healthy, you need to figure out a rotation. Getting into the playoffs, having these young guys within the team is going to be awesome, but also getting the outside shooting. What's your guys' thoughts? Am I losing my mind? Or does it feel like Ausar Thompson is the 2nd or 3rd behind Jalen Duren and Cade, of course, on this team when it comes to most productive and key parts to the success of this team? Does Marcus Sasser deserve more minutes? Because it truly feels like a guy that does a lot of the right things, but never gets all the credit and the minutes for it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because I love reading through them. But that's been it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and go Detroit Basketball.